Hi, I'm Matt Winslow from MW Productivity. I coach shop owners across the US and Canada to help them implement change in their shop. No contract and a money back guarantee. Let's talk about increasing productivity in your shop. The number of hours your technician can turn in a week is dependent on an awful lot of factors. You got to have car count. You got to have the right kind of easy to do work coming in the door. You have to have technicians that do a complete courtesy inspection. And you have to have a service advisor who knows how to upsell the tech's recommendations. You got to have the right kind of marketing to bring consumers in the door. And it has to be those consumers with the necessary credit to be able to buy all your recommendations today. Let's face it, we lose a lot of production time moving cars in and out. You've got to be efficient at sourcing parts and letting your team know when those parts arrive. So essentially, your entire shop's workflow has to be optimized. I work with many clients to improve their productivity by focusing on all these things, but these are all fixes that take a lot of time and effort. So what's the easiest way to increase productivity right away? Sell more parts. And I'm not talking about selling parts your customers and their cars don't need. I'm talking about adding all the parts technicians miss because they're focused on labor primarily. You know, the parts that add value to each job and give your customer a much better result. So you start by training your service advisor. When your technician comes up and says the car needs a timing belt, the last thing you want to do is just sell a timing belt with the labor to install it. You want to look for associated parts and services that go with that timing belt job. For example, timing belt replacement would often include replace cam and crank seals, belt tensioner, water pump, and performing a cooling system service. That includes coolant, possibly hoses, and clamps. And hey, if the timing belt's worn out, there's a pretty good chance the serpentine belt that drives the accessories is worn out as well. So instead of just selling a timing belt and the labor to install the timing belt, your service advisor builds the entire package. You provide a much better value for your customer and, in the same amount of time, create a much higher sale in parts and labor for you and your shop. Here's another example. Let's say you've got an older car with drum brakes. How many times have you seen a technician just replace the brake shoes? They reuse the old, worn-out hardware. You know, the purpose of brakes is to turn rotational energy into heat. And guess what springs hate? They hate heat. As they heat up, they lose their elasticity and become a lot less effective at doing their job. So if your technician says, hey, I need rear brake shoes, why not order the hardware kit to go with those shoes? What about oil changes? Many of you owners are offering oil changes at a discounted price to get an opportunity to look at a car. Just by adding a fuel additive to the fuel tank, you can double the retail value of the oil change without spending any more time on the car. And maybe add wiper blades and a cabin air filter along with that oil change. Don't forget the rear wiper blade. 95% of today's vehicles have a worn-out wiper blade on the rear of the car. So think about it. It takes 30 to 40 minutes to do an oil change with a courtesy check. Some of you guys call that a DVI. But it takes the same amount of time to do an oil change, courtesy check, replace the cabin air filter, wiper blades front and rear, and add a fuel additive to the fuel tank. And while you're doing the inspection, why not check the battery? Today's cars with tons of electronics wear batteries out faster than ever. Think about the result. Will your customer feel the difference of you changing oil in their car? Probably not. But they'll notice their car smells fresher. They'll notice their windshield wipers work better in the rain. They'll be grateful their car starts reliably and never leaves them stuck in a parking lot, especially in nasty weather. And you know what? They'll even notice after a few thousand miles, their car performs much better too. Your customer will thank you, and so will your wallet. In other videos, I'll share some ideas of how you can increase productivity with some of the other things I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Optimizing shop workflow, the right kind of customer with effective marketing, and so forth. I'm Matt Winslow from MW Productivity. I coach shop owners across the US and Canada to help them make real changes in their business. No contract with a money-back guarantee. Feel free to reach out to me to see how I can help you. Thanks for watching.